Hello everyone, welcome to the Atelier Nikazuki live stream. I am back to the lav mic, so hopefully that is going to help with the sound quality for when the videos get posted after the live is done. Today we are going to be working on getting scraps. It sounds ridiculous, but we're going to be working on getting scraps actually ironed so that I can cut them down into the actual sizes that they need to be. I got a really cool ruler yesterday, and so I want to make sure that, well, we got to make sure that all the scraps are flat because that's going to make cutting more accurate. And then anything that I can't use that's off these cuts, so like these weird shapes, I'm going to cut out what I can from it, and then the remainder of the scrap will go to my friend that can use it for stuffing her amigurumi. Hi Flynn, what's up? So I know this isn't really like the whips piles I should be going through, but you know what? It's I'm gonna mute this and actually move the mic to the other side of my shirt. One moment. All right, that should keep it. Whoa, that's way too close to my face. Obviously, let's put it down. 1, 2, 3. Hello. All right, that looks a little bit better. Anyway, I was going through the stuff last night and I was just like, we're just going to go through. Some of these aren't actually going to end up becoming what I planned for them last night because I remembered that I do have those planner pouches that are good for these scraps where it's like, well, you're not a very good cut for like a needles stasher or a notions pouch. But then I was like, wait, they'll make amazing like planner pouch things. So we'll do that as well, and that's where we can kind of divert some of this. Some of this is just not going to be, like, this is going to work best for bookmarks. So actually we'll start dividing the pile up that way. So like bookmarks are down here. This is a little bit larger cut, so we'll figure out what it really is good for. These geisha are going to be better for bookmarks because it's a little bit too skinny. Just like not wide enough to actually make the product with. This looks like it could actually be cut and made into... No, it couldn't, because... Now I can't even remember the measurements I was using for those planner pouches. Let me find it again. Okay, so that'll be a height and the width, and then, yeah, so they got to be very similar to like a needle stasher. And lots of these aren't. I think that might even be too small for what I'm intending. So it might go, it's going to go down on the scrap pile. I.e. the pile that I will start on the floor for all of this. Bookmarks. So yeah, as I'm doing this tidy up, I am also looking towards like destash. I do want to do a massive yarn destash here because like my tastes have changed. What I like to actually make has changed. There's a bunch of factors in it, but like I'm looking at these 3 totes of yarn and I'm just like, I'm not going to use all of that. So why am I trying to keep it around, sort of thing? So over the next couple months, I'm hoping to do some of that. It would be going towards the support of purchasing that new camera I keep talking about. And Japan next year, because I really want to go to Japan next year. And yes, you could come to me and be like, Haiti, what a waste of money. And it's like, yes, and not really. You don't know what you don't know. And my knitting time has also slowed down significantly due to kids. And so it's just like there has to be a reassessment of where I put my time and energy. And I know that's going to shift again in a couple years, but like I was in a club and I didn't like some of the colors. So what are you going to do? Someone else will enjoy them far more than I do. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to destash some of the yarns that just need a more loving home than me, or a home that will enjoy them more. Because yeah, I was just saying that it's like I'm looking at like all the totes of yarn that I have in the storage room and I'm like, I don't need that much yarn. And I want to be able to destash that in a way that then those funds can go to what I do want to achieve. A new camera for the business. Japan next year instead of having to wait an extra year. All that sort of stuff. That looks like it's actually a good size for needles. No, it swoops at the end there. So what we're doing right now is we're going through and we are going to be ironing all those scraps that I kind of sorted out last night. And then if we have enough time, we'll go in and do a... we're going to measure the books for book sleeves. And then tonight, once the kiddos are in bed, I'll come back on and we will start the sort of the works in progress that are out in the sewing room, as well as the bins under the table. I think what I'll do is I'll actually pull the bins out from underneath the table and we'll take them out and do them in the sewing studio as well. Just because it's like the whips are already out there, so that's may as well be where we're doing all of it instead of just doing like half in here and half out there. That doesn't make sense. Because like a lot of the stuff that is out in the sewing studio could realistically go into the bins in here because they need linings or they need handles or they need to be like redistributed to whatever their new project is going to be actually. So that's where we're going to be at for now. Now if you are watching right now, I have switched back to the lav mic, so please let me know if there's any like sound problems. I do see that I am spiking a little bit, so I'm wondering if no, the mic is at a good level, it looks like, in general. I was just like, I wonder if I need to like move it down. I don't want to turn it down physically. But, you know. This table, like the cutting table, it's not. And honestly, it wouldn't fit back through the door even if I wanted it to. But if you look under here where there's like interfacing bolt, there's 3 bins down there. 3 bins and then 1 random one, which I actually don't know what's in that one because it's not clear. So we're going to swap that out for a clear bin. So I kind of know what's going to happen. And then there's like these bins over here are supposed to be like Kato, big bag, etc. So we're going to figure that out. That is the scraps. Into the scraps with you. But these scraps have been weighing on my brain quite a bit, so that's why I'm also working on them. In conjunction with the goal of like getting the whips also sorted out and everything, so that yes, we can get them done for the next show. And actually the next show is already coming up. I have a pop-up with Ancient Arts Yarns on February 10th, which is, I was like booking it yesterday, and then I just realized like this morning that that's like 2 weeks away tomorrow. So as much as I say I'm going to do a bunch of whips, well, we're going to basically finish a bunch of whips that I've got cut out already because that makes sense. Then I don't have to go through the whole cutting rigmarole again right away. And we can finish like some more Kato and stuff like that because we've obviously restocked well on big bags and small box bags for a little bit. I need more water for the iron. I had to leave it out in the cutting or the sewing studio, so give me one moment. I'll just come back with it. I just gotta mute the mic. That is actually a fantastic idea and something we will do when there's laminate floor in the basement. But even at this point, I don't know if I could, like, even if it was on wheels, I don't know if I could push it across the shag because it's like such a large and heavy table, because it's basically a piece of countertop on a bunch of like 2x4s. So, but that is a good idea. Moving them out into the sewing studio is not a big deal. Like I said, there's a bunch of stuff out there that needs to be sorted into a not ready to sew bin anyway, and that's basically what under the table is it's all stuff that's like, it's basically half finished. It's like exteriors are cut, that's it. And so I need to go through and like, that's what probably what I should do. Oh, those are complete scraps. Those are going to my friend. Probably what I'll do is I'll sort it out and then I'll take a count, and then we know. No, that's too much work. We'll just pull it out, and I'll pull stuff out that I'm interested in making right away, and we'll cut like linings for those after this pop up with Ancient Arts or something. I don't know. We'll figure out how to finish them. But I'm also interested in getting book sleeves kind of sorted out. There's a bunch of like patterns, but the one that I really like, which has a snap on top, her link to her pattern is actually the wrong link into her Etsy shop, and it's not available at all on her Etsy shop for the pattern. I'm like, okay. So I guess I'll take, like, most of them have a pretty good consensus on what you actually need for measurements for a lot of these, but basically I'm going to go in and take these books here, like a nice thick, fairly large hardcover, a midline hardcover that's smaller, and then the like manga trade paperback size. Hi, Sailor Moon, because she is the one that started it all. Because I figure for Otafest especially, this is a good size to kind of cater the sizing to, since we'll have a lot of manga people hopefully. I still don't know if I'm getting into Otafest, but it'll be useful for Omatsuri and stuff like that too in August. Yeah, and honestly, the scraps here, some of them will be large enough. I call them scraps, but they're like half a fat quarter sort of cuts. Those cuts will be super useful for those smaller ones to experiment with. Okay, that looks like it could be like a pencil pouch. That's gonna be bookmarks. This will be actually, that is also maybe, yeah, I'm going to put that under pencil pouches because I think Mount Fuji as a pencil pouch would be amazing, even if we do have to piece that one. Dog fabrics actually would also be good as a pencil pouch, so we'll set those aside for that. They'll have to be trimmed down, but whatever. It's not like we're not cutting a bunch of scraps right now anyway. Over so that the interfacing doesn't get scorched completely. Oh, my board just tore more. All right, apparently it is time for another new ironing board cover. Oops. Okay, I think that one has a bunch of other cuts that I could use for that, and then we're going to also use this then for a canvas or a pencil pouch, because why not, now that I have that in my head. And then we're not over inundated with stuff that's like the same. Hot. Whew. Sassy Cat would also make a good pencil pouch. I actually am still finding like cuts of this fabric when I'm in Japan. I found a bunch in November for sure, and then a bunch in May actually as well, of like fat quarters and stuff of it, which is awesome. That looks like a canvas pencil pouch versus, like, I'm pretty sure I had that under bookmarks, so we're going to pull that for that intention. And then actually we are going to do the same with the capybara, and we're going to make planner pencil pouches from it, because just how the fabric is set up, I think the print is going to work the best with that. There's not really a lot of capybara on it, but there's this really like cool bike up here, and so we'll just kind of work around that, see what we can get from it. Now you may be asking, Katie, why are your fabrics so like mangled? And it's because I stored them improperly. Store your fabrics properly and you will not have this disaster. A lot of them also had the cats got to them, so I need to wash them again, so that's part of it. So these have been double washed, so you definitely don't have to worry about shrinkage now. That's also why some of the edges are like a little bit more frayed than desirable as well, because I definitely didn't iron them after they got double washed or washed again. All right, that is definitely a bookmark amount. Nice thing is that this pile is already about half the size of when I walked in the room, so that means that this shouldn't take too long, hopefully. I have to admit that also having company while doing this is a lot more bearable than just standing in a room and doing it by myself and trying to figure out how to keep myself engaged with the task. I already did that this morning because I had to do, I started my taxes. And then I was finishing up the receipts I had in the bin, and I'm like, where are all my Japanese, like my receipts from Japan? And then I had like a big panic about that. I found them. But my goodness, those moments between like realizing I didn't have them where I thought they should be and they weren't in the other hidey holes that they should have been, was just whew, one of those mornings. All right, that is a needle stasher that's mostly completed actually, but I did find them. I had tucked them away because the kids were getting into them and they were in our storage room of all places, so good thing I went in there for something else randomly, because you know, that's a big chunk of my expenses last year was Japan. And I wasn't diligent even about the receipts either. So it's mostly just like I needed the receipts to add fabric into the inventory and cost of goods sold, basically. Alright, so a lot of these will be becoming bookmarks, just because that's what's going to fit on the fabric. And a lot of this actually doesn't need to be ironed. Actually, I think a lot of the lining doesn't need to be ironed. A lot of the like scraps definitely need to be ironed. This one's not too bad because I just ironed it for a different project. So, coffee. Move the iron out of the way of my like lav, the mic wire. And then these are all pretty good, I think. I don't really need an iron. Now, did I bring the bin of other things around? I don't think I did, because I was like, yeah, it's not going to need it, or I'm not going to have time to do it. But let's grab everything else that's kind of like behind the camera here. Oops, sorry. That was an abrupt shift of the webcam. Okay, and then we're going to do the actual scraps. So these scraps are going to be made into a new fun thing that I'll be working on over the next few days as well. Well, for the next few months. It's not like we're going to run out of scraps anytime soon. But it's like for all these small cuts and everything like that that don't really have a home otherwise. All right. And like weird cuts and all of that. Okay, so that's that pile. Now we'll move everything back around so that the mic wire is not crossing the iron, or at least hopefully not. Yeah, so some of these cuts are actually from the old large wedge bags. I am not, even if I bring back the small wedge bag, I am doubtful I will bring back the large wedge bag. So we're going to use these cuts more towards the book sleeves and stuff like that. Also, this one is glorious and I love it. So, do you want to make sure that it gets used? This is actually a fabric that is going to get destashed. So I'll make sure that this piece is included with that because I'm not interested in using it anymore. I bought it for a club and then it just never really, it didn't click well for the club with Caroline. And I just lost interest in actually using it. Now, these ones are going to be an interesting case. I don't know what to actually use them for yet, but they are too glorious to just like, they need some thought. So we're going to iron them out. I will store them correctly so that I can just pull them out and use them later. But yeah, we'll have to figure it out later. I just don't have the brain. Actually, wait. I don't have the brain space for it, even though I'm going to be designing these book sleeves later. And they are a good size for that. Except there would be no room for a snap up here. There's not enough for like, yeah, especially if you, because, so part of what you have to plan is you have to plan the like 3D-ness of the book. There would be enough room for like actually finishing it, but the book would be at the very top there. So like there's maybe an inch of fabric there, total extra. Okay, so that gives a good idea at least of like how much we need to add, because you got to take into account seams, because there would be a seam on the bottom of this one because it would need to be cut and because of the directionality of it. And then it would need seam for at the top and the side space as well. It is the right width, which is the good thing. So that's cool to know, is that it's not going to take a lot of fabric actually to make the book sleeves. So yeah, because that's enough room for that, even once you add padding and everything, I think. Actually, I think with this I would add an extra ½ inch, because you don't want to like wiggling around too much, but you don't want it too tight either, especially if you've got like thicker manga and things like that. All right, on to the next scraps. Okay, so that is a scrap. We're gonna move it down into the other project pile. Same as most of this as well. Actually, some of this I think might still be bookmarks too. What did I decide for you guys? I can't even remember. Actually, I think we're gonna do half and half. We'll do half bookmark for some of this and half like other stuff. These were just shy of making a needle stasher. Oh man, there's just like, I literally caught my nail on the hole, and the like fabric on this is just tearing. There's a needle stasher and there is a pile, and then this is going to be a needle stasher. Okay, so those were actually bookmarks in there, I think. So needle stashers are going to go up there. You're going to be a half, actually you are a bookmark. I do remember that because you aren't large enough to be a anything else. These were scraps from cuts we made last night for bookmarks. So I'm just going to go along and press them all at once. That's a little bit too small even for me. So we're going to, yeah, we're going to throw it in there. Scrap pile. Those are going to go to friend 2. Let's go into the scrap pile. So basically what this scrap pile is going to become is it's going to be a bunch of cat ornaments. I was inspired by Boutique, B-O Boutique. Super cute pattern. And I found the tutorial on YouTube. So I'm going to follow it, more or less. Basically, it's like free motion embroidered little cat ornaments, so I'm super excited about that. Alright, these owls. Half for bookmarks, half for scraps. See, like, it'll use stuff like these scraps, so like this, hopefully, and things. So at least that's what we're gunning towards. Aiming towards. There we go. That's the better descriptor there. Actually, that would be a good way to use all those weird little cutoffs from like knot bags and all of them that are like curved and wonky and everything. That doesn't need to be ironed. That doesn't need it. That doesn't need it. You two do. You're good. You could. Actually, when I was in Japan, they still had a sample of this unraveling sheep behind the desk at Tomato, which was super cool to see. So we are deep in the scraps right now. I basically tossed the whole bin out on the sewing desk last night, sorted through it obviously, and now we're here. Good, 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 good. Could use some TLC. And then this obviously is not the only scrap pile that we'll be incorporating into those. There's obviously significantly more scraps that I'll be able to incorporate. So that's part of what we'll do as we're going through everything that's in the sewing studio as well. Is like, I know I've got all the offcuts from like the bags and things that we can use for this project as well. Part of why we're not working on it right now though too is that I'm still waiting on supplies for it. So I went out and I got the tools for it today. I needed a new foot for my domestic machine because I'll actually be using my domestic for this. And then yeah, just whenever the other supplies show up, I can go straight into like, well, basically we've got to put all of these scraps onto interfacing and kind of like piece them there, and then they get cut out and or ironed onto stuff. They get ironed onto stiff felt. That's what we're using. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron them onto the interfacing, and then I'm going to cut them out with my Cricut, and then we're going to adhere them to the larger like piece of stiff felt, and then they'll be free motion embroidered onto the stiff felt. And then once they're done there, I'll trim them out from the stiff felt with scissors, because I'm pretty sure the felt is too thick to go through the Cricut, unfortunately. But that's okay. I like finding new uses for my Cricut as well, so that's always nice. This looks like it would be a good canvas pencil pouch. I bet you it just was not quite wide enough for other stuff. That looks like a needle stasher amount, and you look like an excellent scrap for this new project. Actually, so the one thing I was seeing about the book sleeves that would be really cute, now I gotta think on it, is that they, one of the makers actually made the backs out of like a contrasting fabric. So now I'm like, okay, is that something we should be doing or what? I don't know yet. When it, like, realistically, it's not more work. It would be another Japanese fabric. The problem, well, it is a bit more work because it's like trying to, it adds decision, like analysis paralysis. And that's what I'm worried about more than anything. Because it is something that you would be seeing like more than like a lining or a pocket or something like that. Or I could back them in canvas. Ooh, I could back them in canvas. And because so why that brainwave is like it would reduce the cost of the materials cost of it. I think I like that idea the best, as random as that is. All right, that is another piece. Oh, I thought I'd set one. I have. It's right here. Okay. Right, the pencil pouch, like for the planners, needs 2 pieces of the same dimensions. So some of these that I've set aside may not actually work, but we'll see. Who knows? Don't know until I measure stuff. And that is why we're ironing, because these would not give accurate measurements. So they need to be ironed before I can use them for anything. Okay, that looks a little bit on the small side, but we're going to use this for a notions pouch. So that was the main sorting we were doing last night, is like notions pouch to needle stasher to like bookmark piles and then scrap pile, because I don't know how, but a lot of these fabrics got put in here and they didn't belong in here. Oh, and wristlets, actually, because I'm just looking at this, I'm like, this would make a really good wristlet. I'm also because I'm pretty sure it's too small for anything but bookmarks, but it's all got a lot of fabric, so I may as well make a wristlet out of it. And then if I've got extra, we'll make a then we'll make bookmarks out of it, because it's a cute puppy dog print. And we do want to make sure that most of these like wrinkles are out, because once you put it under a steam press, you are effed. And I'm not saying that like you are, no, game over sort of thing. So that's not a facetious answer, but like as soon as it goes onto the steam press, especially because these will go onto the steam press to press in on the interfacing, you're done. Like it, yeah, almost permanent creases in the fabric, which is what you want it to do when you do it on purpose. But that's part of why we're being diligent about like ironing it right now, is because I don't want to have to deal with re-adhering interfacing because I didn't iron out the wrinkles right now. So Andrea, were you on the, I don't know if anyone was on the stream last night, or if you heard the story about the creepiest interaction I've had on Facebook Marketplace so far. Okay, that looks like it will be a planner pouch. Well, anyway, it doesn't really matter because I don't know who was watching last night. I can see how many viewers there are, but I don't know who is unless there's live chat. But anyway, so I had the creepiest interaction. I do a lot of my transactions on Facebook Marketplace. I have never, ever had anything like this happen. So a guy was is destashing a bunch of silk, like kimono and haori, which are the kimono jackets, and like fabrics right up my alley. And they're in Banff, which is like a 45-minute drive away. So hey, awesome, I love it. Okay, so yeah, this is a new story for you at least. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's like, I'll realistically, if you'll take it, I'll offer you money for the lot and like make this super easy. I'll just come pick it up. First off, it took an extremely long time to get any answers about like anything. Because I asked like what he was kind of expecting for price and things like that, because like that's how you open up that sort of conversation. It's not like it was a handmade good. These were supplies at this point. There we go. Because I definitely lowballed him, and I know I lowballed him, but I was also like, you're trying to destash to get a juki. So I offered him basically half of what a juki would cost for like industrial machine, and it just, he's like, this cost me over $3,500, and I'm like, but that's why I asked what you were kind of expecting, is what I'm thinking, because it's like, because I don't know what you spent on it. I offered him $450. And then when he was like, well, I can't do that for the lot, I was like, okay, well, I'll basically like, I'll take 90 kimono and hari for $5 a piece. And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not your market. Because he's like, I'm selling pieces of silk, like just pieces for $20. And I'm like, all right, then I am not the market for you then, because I'm definitely able to source my kimono and hari. And I get it. Like, I have to factor in the flight and everything like that. But it's like, I definitely can source them for cheaper than that right now. Even now. And anyway, but it was also just really creepy because it was like, he asked for my phone number and I'm like, I do not give out my text, like my phone number on Facebook Marketplace interactions. Because my, like, as soon as he asked for that, my spidey senses went off. Told Dallas that it was feeling really creepy, and he's like, don't pick up without a friend. I'm like, oh, no. We're not only not picking up if it had gone through. We're not picking up by myself. We're also not going to, like, I will take you out, and you're going to pick up with me, because this already feels bad. Anyway, and then it devolved from there. So he was like showing me the kimono that they use in their house, and they're probably too full up on that. And like, I was just like, dude, I just want to know what you expect and when you would like me to like come pick up if we're gonna go through with this like transaction. And then at the very end, the kicker was he blocked me on Facebook, which like whatever, I don't care. Do what you need to do. But then he messaged me from his business account and said, don't feel bad. I blocked you so that there was no temptation. So, as much as it would have been really cool to get a lot of like kimono and the hari, dodged a bullet. It was just such a bad interaction. I don't know. Maybe he was high on something that wasn't like weed. Maybe he was really high on weed. I don't know. It was just so bad. And if he had just come out originally and said, well, I paid $3,500 for all of this, and like I'm kind of expecting that or more, I would have just said, okay. I don't know. Temptation for what exactly? More creepy interactions? I'm guessing that like so I don't message him about the silks that I've missed out on now. And I'm like, whatever. He like sent me a picture of a kimono that was basically, so he was like, the appliques in this are worth hundreds by themselves. And I'm like, okay, then piece it out. Like, I don't care. If you can get hundreds of dollars from it, go for it. Good Lord, like, I don't know. It was such a weird interaction. Temptation from what exactly? Our scintillating like conversation. Ugh, this one's going to go. This one is like super creased. Okay. Gonna do it from these two sides, and then I'm actually gonna set it aside to rest, and then we'll see if we can get some more out. Yeah, because I asked him originally, like, hey, like, what do you expect from this? Because, like, I know what I pay for them in Japan, and they've definitely gone up. And it's definitely different when you're also, again, buying through that middleman. That's fine. But when you're, like, phrasing it as well as you want to de-stash these things, you shouldn't be expecting people to pay full price, I guess. I don't know. Is that, like, unreasonable? I'm like, I also offered, like I said, like, the cost, I looked up the cost for a Juki similar to mine right now. It's actually cheaper than what I paid. And it's running about $1,000. So the whole title of it was that he wanted to sell the kimono to upgrade to a Juki. And I'm like, perfect. I can look that up. And then, like, that offer is half of what it would be to buy the Juki. I don't know. Like I said, I dodged a bullet. It really, like, I really don't care at this point. It was just such a baffling interaction. Temptation from what? I think that is the best comment about it. From what? Indeed. Oh well, now I have stories to tell on the internet. heck, even if he'd come down and said, hey, I'll do like 1,000, like that is more than what I would want to pay for it. But for the amount that was there, it was like that would have been good too. Like just, I don't know, negotiation a little bit more. Whatever, I'll put that money towards going to Japan in February, hopefully. I keep looking up the information for Kyoto, and apparently it's just first come, first serve. So all I really need to do this year is make sure that I am online when registration opens. So I'm excited for that and to see if I get in or not. I'll know, well, if it's first come, first serve, I'll know as soon as I like pay the fees, I guess. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, well, I don't know. I think they are, though. That's part of it. Okay, so what ended up happening, I think what's kind of funny is he's like, well, you know their value better than I do. And it's like, exactly, I know their value better than I do, and I'm not going to get the wool pulled over my eyes about it. Again, I wasn't going to take into account the fact that he's had to purchase them through an Etsy seller or whoever's getting their uptick, because of course they're going to probably buy it at like a temple market or a state sale or wherever they've gotten it. At the amount that he had, it's obviously secondhand, and so they're paying for their, like, they're charging for their time too, as they should. But yeah, whatever, his loss in some ways. I don't even know. We'll put that down there. That'll be a nice, like, in-between piece for these little cats that I'm trying to think of doing. Hey, we are cranking through these scrap piles. I am pleased. So, once I am done this one, which is like what's left on the table right here, I'll go through and I'm going to grab, we'll probably just turn around. Actually, the phone is in a pretty good place that I can just turn around pretty much, and you'll be able to see the table. And we'll start measuring maybe for book sleeves. As much as I want to work through the scraps, this is kind of a very discombobulated day in the fact that it's like I've already spent half the time doing taxes and emails and admin stuff. Be very glad when my taxes are done. Oh, right, I changed to like semi-annual billing for BCPST, not remembering that if I have a really good month at Knit City, that then it's all due all together with any other really good months in BC. So I think I'm going to have to go back to like monthly billing. It's just, that is a lot of work, especially when there's like no sales into BC. Although I guess that's really not much work. All I have to do is like, it's a nil month. Bookmarks. Yeah, but anyway, let's finish off the ironing of these guys, and then we'll move back over to the other side of the table. Actually, or we could just work from this side, to be honest. I did say I was going to work on the embroidery pouch as well, so we might still do a little bit of that. No, I don't think anyone does, to be honest. I don't even know if accountants like doing taxes from the stories that I've heard. Like some days my math brain works really, really well. Well, lots of days it doesn't. And I don't mind doing math all the time, but my goodness. Like I said, it's mostly like that overlaying, like, anxiety of like, just don't mess it up. So my motto is mostly, it's just like, just don't write anything off that you don't have a receipt for. Because then if you audit, then at least you have receipts. I figure that's a good one. What should you be? I don't even know what size you are. Let's put you into the cats. You don't need to be ironed. You really need to be ironed. All these like strips that are so skinny. Okay, this one actually looks like it should be a wristlet. Oh well, at least taxes, besides like PST, are a once a year thing basically. And I am on the ball this year. Part of that is though that last year my eldest wasn't in care yet. So this year I'm already ahead because both of them are in care. Actually, my youngest is switching over to the same care as my eldest this week, which is both sad and amazing. I think they're going to, I think my youngest is really going to miss going to their current day home. But I'm really excited for them to have a third day, so now we'll be on the same schedule and they can both be dropped off at the same time. Because right now they're staggered by half an hour, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but that's basically my run most days right now. So I can drop them both off at 7:30 now instead of like 7:30 and 8, and have that extra time for, well, run, weights, whatever. I did not do that this morning because I knew if I went and exercised, I was not going to get downstairs to actually do taxes right away. So I bribed myself by being, okay, we're going to, what did we do this morning instead? Well, we did taxes. I cleared out my procrastination this morning was like clearing out my business email account. I think I'm down to like 31 unread mail. And I can't remember why it's down to that anyway. Ooh. Actually, that's a good point. We could actually piece some of this. Again, it comes down to that whole like analysis paralysis. So I guess it's just you know what? Just grab and go. Who cares? We'll just build it out and deal with it. Especially like these ones that are like in between. So they're not like super skinny, but they're not like massive either. That could be really fun. Yeah, like those scooter ones and stuff, like the ones that are like awkward sized. Those are not intended for there. That is also not intended for there. I think that's actually going to be a needle stasher. That's going to be a pencil pouch. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the prototypes because it's like I do have older fabric that's like I am not super committed to not messing up. Sounds terrible. I usually do try and do like prototypes in North American fabric, but I've started doing it in the older like Japanese fabrics that just like they haven't been as popular, or like I just don't want to make stuff from them anymore. So I figure that's a good like balance between the two. But I do like your idea of using some of these strips for book sleeves. Obviously, pieced would be a little bit more expensive just because of the work. But, you know, it would look cute. And then I could do a quilt as you go so that it's padded. So most of these do actually have some sort of padding in them, which I guess is a good thing if you're like carrying a hardcover around or something like that. So most of them will have some sort of something in them. Foam, batting, something. If it's quilt as you go, then it'll have batting. Stuff like this, though, it's like, no. Actually, that would be a good, like, neutral in some of the strips, too. Okay, fine, you've convinced me. I've convinced myself after this monologue. Alrighty. I'm going to pop the mic off and just double check to make sure that, like, Flynn is sleeping on a bunch of stuff. So I just want to make sure that I don't have anything that is supposed to fall into this category, like major pressing. Yeah, and then we'll go in and do a book cover. Actually, we could piece it with the, that's what we do. I know, right? I tend to do that, though. So what we could do is we could actually still piece it on the actual, like... No, that doesn't work because then there's raw edges. Never mind. Okay. I'm I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna take the mic off, double check, and see what we have left. And if everything's good, we're just gonna turn that way and do the rest of it. Yeet. All right. If you're like, Katie, you look confused, it's because I am confused. I'm like, I thought I'd split up the pile so there was like needle stashers and notions pouches. Kind of kept it separate. No. So there is now actual scrap piles that will be scrap piles. So let's continue on with our ironing instead of moving on to more funner stuff. This apparently, I think, is actually the strips bin. Yes, so it actually is 2 different bins as needed. Cat, you're going to destroy everything. He's like, it smells like me, probably. Jerk. But yeah, so like stuff like this sort of strip where it's like, it's obviously a strip. So this would also be very good for like piecing. So that's where we're going. Cat, stay out of it. Nope. You cannot get in because you're going to knock the iron over then. These ones will go into the cat ornaments because that is too much piecing and they're flattened up. Cat, you are dark. Okay. Sorry. That is why I remembered why last night I actually did want to move towards a mic that like sat away from me. And that was because of this situation. But I've decided on the camera I'm going to get. That is a massive piece. Okay, this might be a bit more work than I expected. Anyway, let's back that up. Back that truck up. So I've been looking to get a new camera for this and for like, in general. I was pretty set on a Sony that a lot of other vloggers used, but then I went in and I actually saw some reviews of it in comparison to another camera, which looks so dumb. It's basically a gimbal with a built-in camera, and which like is awesome in some ways actually, but also yeah. Anyway, sorry, this is taking more mental processing than I expected. We might not be touching this bin. I was just like, I need a storage spot for all of those other pieces. So I should grab out this bin that says strips, but there's not just strips in here. There's actually quite a bit of like, oh, there's a cow. Apparently this was actually sitting out with my kids as my camera dies, of course. Anyway, cow. Now I lost the train of thought too. Yay. It's totally acceptable to blame that sort of thing on your kids for like ever, right? Okay, well, let's clear out the strips bin. There's obviously I know there's some older stuff in here that's just not going to get finished anymore probably, so we'll see what we can actually do with it. I don't really want to dump this on the ironing board, but there's a cat here. Actually, if I lift this box down, then it can go on the ironing board. Mic off. Down. So that I do find is one of the big like drawbacks to having these like fabric bins versus a clear bin is it's like, even if I label it, sometimes I sneak stuff in there, and that is totally my fault. But you know what, it's a lot harder to, or I hold myself a lot more accountable with like the clear bins for some reason. I don't know why, but you know. Okay, so those are all going to be needle stashers, I think. Actually, this one's too small, so we're going to shuffle that into strips. Needle stashers. Okay. This is kimono, so that is going to need a different treatment. We're going to put it back in that bag that I dumped it out of. Problem being with that one is that there's like other fabrics in there that shouldn't be in there. So I think what we'll do for the... Okay, and then these are handles for bags that will no longer get made. And that's fine, because we're going to make those into bookmarks. Seriously. It's like... Everyone talks about pregnancy brain. You rarely hear about mom brain before you get pregnant. It's like, come on, guys. Way to gatekeep. Although I guess in some ways, to be fair, I guess I should be fair in some ways. It's really hard to understand until you have kids too, right? So it's just like, even if they told us, would we listen or not? There are a bunch of grime guards in here. That's right. That are like partially finished. So that looks like that might be something to go to the to finish pile. Okay, so that's an almost finish. Almost finished. Right, that's what was in here. That, yeah, we'll finish the ones that have like the majority of their stuff in. So this has already got its elastic in it. The ones like this that I haven't done the elastic on or anything, we're going to iron and we'll use the strips. Because like the style of it has changed so much, so we're just going to go that way. This one is actually too heavy of a fabric to do grime guards with, so we're going to pull the pins and we're going to say that it is going to be a strip. And you know what we're going to do? We're just going to cut off the edges. I'm not unpicking that. And then the little casing that's excess fabric can go to my friend. Fabric bins. Yeah, so I definitely have my de-stash for yarn and fabrics in that as well. It's just that these fit into the IKEA shelves, obviously, so it's like I can put the stuff in it and then put it back on my IKEA shelf and feel better about myself. I actually bought them because when we were selling the house, like, fabric is so naturally just, even when it's tidy, it's untidy, right? Unless you're an anomaly. That's what I have found anyway. So I bought a bunch so that I could like pack away the fabric and make it a nice clean front, and it worked well. Obviously we sold the house, but my husband, like Dallas, looked at it and he's like, oh, I like it so much better. I'm like, but I can't see anything. And I'm such a visual like person that I need to be able to see my stash or else I don't know what's there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably, the kids are slowly destroying these bins because they like to crawl into them because they're boxes. And because you cannot convince me. The more I'm around kids, the more cat-like they become. Anyway, so it's like I'll just slowly integrate them into the household, I think, and I'll switch over maybe more to the that's just garbage. Over to like the clear bins for the shelves. And like I still have to label them. You can't tell what's in them, but that'll at least give me a better representation of like how full they are and stuff like that, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why I would do that. It's like I still sneak stuff into them that's not supposed to be in them anyway. Hey, you can become a wristlet later on. But yeah, I'll put most of the de-stash into these, especially as I like start to clear scraps out and stuff like that. That'll be more it. Ooh, okay. Okay, so that is actually a good piece for wallet linings and stuff like that. That is a piece from a kimono. That's gonna go over there. Same as those. Those are good for like stuff. I don't know what stuff yet, but stuff. And then I've got pieces of like this sort of thing where it's like I'm halfway into the project and I don't know. I know what I can do with these. I just pulled a bunch of these fabrics to make frickin' excuse me. I'm like not sick, but I'm not sick right now. But I just pulled a bunch of these fabrics to actually make notions pouches with, and if it's large enough, I'll just do an actual like bag. Sweet, let's do that. It won't be perfect, but it'll be better than nothing. Or maybe we'll find like a coordinating fabric or for it or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Could be the canvas pieces that I have left over too. Just like a black backing would be really nice. They are really good for the kids stuff. I've definitely adopted a lot of them for kids stuff in the last like 6 months. Because I don't like, again, yeah, I just don't like covering up my stash, so. All right, that is to a friend. Oh, I guess those pieces can go to my friend too, actually, these ones down here. So I'm just going to make a pile at my feet for stuff to Tara. Yeah, all that can go. This looks like it would be really nice and would be really nice to work with, but it's a pain in the butt because it's cheerleading, and so it's got a texture, so you can't iron it or wash it without it getting flattened. But there are folks who use it, so I'm going to put that into the D-stash. I know it's a tiny piece, but you know, it'll help. This is one of the really cool things when you open up the obi, though, is you actually get the maker marks. So I don't know what this one says here. It's this one. But I can bet you it's the maker mark. So that's always really cool to see when you open up those obi and stuff like that. Badgers. I don't actually know what I'm doing right now. I think we're just mostly sorting out. Well, actually, we're sorting out scraps right now, and then we'll figure out where they get distributed after this. That's what we're doing. That was the stitching, not the fabric. Don't worry. Yeah, and then there's like, yeah, so like these little vinyl pieces I think will be really good, and I'll figure out some sort of like backing to them or something, and we'll just make a simple pouch, because why not? Well, maybe with like, I don't know yet, something. You're done. Why are you in here? Oh, because you literally have a little tiny seam to do. Okay, well, that can be, that would be cool actually too. It's usually like the part that I cut off. It's kind of almost like the selvage on stuff. So I've never really thought of that, but that would be fun. And I don't find them on all of them. That's the other thing, but I will keep a better eye out for them. Go. This is another good example of it right here. Pretty sure that is the like, or at least the shop. So I think it's like Daijima. This is the kanji for big, and that's the kanji for island. Or maybe it's Daimaru. It might be the actual department store. I'm not sure. It could be either of those. Scraps, scraps, scraps. Well, at least I am paring down the scraps the last couple days. That's nice too. And like, even if we're not really making anything, we're distributing stuff to like where it needs to go. Yeah, there's another one. So this one's different. It's hard to see because it's actually stitched into the fabric. Why do I not have this on? I invested in a new ring light. So now, hopefully you can see that. You can see that there's writing right here. And it's got like the number 10. So I don't know if that's like what that's referring to. It could be colors. It could be like this is a style that they make. Oh yeah, the last kanji for this is actually number. I don't know. Something. It says something. And I'm pretty sure, well, it's definitely something in the manufacturing process. I just don't know what exactly. Some of them are definitely maker's marks. That looks like it could be like some sort of something. I don't know. I will figure it out eventually. This one is pretty gnarly. It's good though. So these are the old style grime guards. It's looking pretty good. It just ended up getting washed. So I think we'll just finish them up and like, maybe what I'll do is I'll put them over that's what we'll do. We'll put them over the tailoring hem because of the curved surface. Oh, hi. Oh, the cat. Cat's behind the like, well, you can see that I guess on camera. Yeah, what we'll do with those like grime guards that are super like, brah, is we'll go in and we will, oh my goodness, my brain. We'll iron them over the tailoring ham because the tailoring ham is rounded. There we go. And, oh, that's what it is. I just realized. Anyway, yeah, the tailoring ham is rounded, and that will mean that we can iron it out easier for like all these curved things. This is an old style cake cozy. That's also finished well. It just needs some like elastic, so we'll do that too. I just realized why the brain fog is because I just got my period. That would explain it, actually. I swear, they got so much better after kids, and now they're, like, at least pain-wise, but mentally, I think they've gotten even worse. Oh, man, that is a throwback fabric, too. We are definitely, like, getting into a lot of these, like, throwback fabrics, which is so much fun. And kind of terrifying that I've kept them for this long, so... Needle stasher is made from Obi, so we'll get the snaps into that as well because it's super cute and actually absolutely gorgeous. Not just cute, gorgeous. That is showing, I'm seeing a really scarlet orange on my screen. It is not scarlet orange, it is orange orange, but it's very vibrant on my screen. Let me see how it looks on actual YouTube. It looks better on YouTube. It is definitely vibrant, but it's not scarlet. Okay, all the little scraps. I guess this does have to happen eventually. That is a tiny baby sock and one we've been looking for. I don't know how it's here, but it's here. Okay. This is actually fabric I bought on my original trip to Japan when I was on exchange. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, so I think it's going to go into destash. I may or may not destash it, but very likely I will. Same with this fabric. This is actually a fabric from my first shopping trip, but again, it's got that texture, and so it's just not practical for what I typically make. Strips. That'll add some visual interest to those scrap projects because it's curved. This will go to my friend. What's this? Something with something written on it, and something about welt pockets, but I have no clue what that's about. Alright, there is one of those strips that's like partially done, but we're just going to take out the elastic on it. Lining. Random square. Too small. Friend. Another. It's like I'm finding all of these needle stashers. Oh man, that sounds terrible. I can actually hear it from my phone even though I have my phone turned like right down. That's too small for anything. Bow Wow Frenchies just needs its elastic pulled back through, and I have better methods of doing elastic pulling now, so that's what we'll do. Ooh, we could do a stripy peppy birds with like all the animals for a book sleeve. That could be fun. Alright. Now we're getting back down to actual strips. What are you? Are you the sharpener or something? Oh, I think you are. I don't remember what you're for, but I think you're for sharpening rotary blades, maybe. I tossed it into the sample bin. So if I ask you where that blue thing went later, it's in my sample bin. Because, you know, that's information people need to keep in their head. Very important information. Yeah, so many of these are like so close to being done. I don't know what I was doing. Why didn't I just finish them? Ugh. Oh well, whatever. We'll finish them now. It's not like the fabric went bad. The elastic's still good. That would actually be the bigger concern, I think. It's too small. This one still has this elastic pulling through, so nope, it rusted. Okay, so that'll get, I'm gonna pull that and we're gonna take the pins out and then we're gonna trim it down and we'll use it for strips. And that's fine too. These are the old style grime guards and the new style grime guards are just that much nicer. Now, if we're really close like this stuff, that's fine, whatever. I don't mind adding those into the collection again, but in something like this where it's obviously also rusted, that's not cool. So we'll pull and then we will just trim off that edge, trim down the actual like casing because I'm not seam ripping these. Oops. Ah. Of course. And I don't know where that safety pin flew. Hopefully it probably got swallowed by the floor. So actually that's a good point that I should double check all the other ones that like have a pin in them still, although it looks like they're probably good. But yeah, I figured out bodkins after all of these and I am so much happier with like my elastic pulling system now than actually it's not bodkins even, it's basically a loop turner. That works way better because then you can basically shove the stick down the casing and it's like easy to just pull the elastic back through the actual casing. Okay, there's the smaller of the Bow Wow Frenchies. It's actually mostly finished. I just got to finish the casing edge. I just realized I got to keep track of the time actually. Another needle stasher, because you know, we don't have enough needle stashers right now. That's not actually fully sarcastic. It is slightly sarcastic though, because we just finished a bunch. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, well that's a throwback. Now the question is do we finish oh god. No, we're gonna tear that out. Okay, so this is going to be, this is the other piece here. Oh, it is excellent. So this one I will tear or rip the seam out on because it's terrible on the one side. Actually, this side isn't very good either. It's good enough, but it's not very good. And then we can actually cut this and make an actual like big bag out of it. This was intended to be an unlined tote. This is from like when I went to Stampede, so probably 9 years old, 10 years old, 8 years old, between 8 and 10 years old. That's how long it's been waiting to be finished. That's kind of sad. And there is some sort of random cut. I think that was a cut for one of the embroidery bags that never really took off. I gotta figure out, because I've got a bunch that are finished. And they're sitting in the sample box too, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with these things? Okay, these all just need, or a lot of these, all they need is the hem finished. So I guess the first project we're gonna do tonight is probably finishing the hems. Because that would make sense, to be honest. Look at all these whips that could be finished in like an hour or ish. Obviously not all of them. Not the unlined tote bag. That's going to take a little bit of care to like pick out and stuff like that. But all these grind guards. Problem is it's like you finish them and then you need to take all the photos. Should get Dallas to take the photos. I need, or someone. Okay. The other thing about these is that they're old enough now that my sewing skills have 100% not improved 100%, but they have definitely improved compared to when I was sewing them originally. So part of what I'm doing there is I'm just checking to see how much, like how gross they kind of are for their like full. Okay, this one will finish even though it's only got one side of elastic in. What is going on here? Are you pinned here? Oh, you're pinned here. Oh, and I missed the seam? What happened here? What is going on? Oh, okay, there is a hole in this hem there. And then there's where it's actually supposed to come out. Okay, so we'll pop this pin out. Pull the elastic out, we'll rehem it, and then we'll finish it. There we go. Okay. Well, we won't rehem it, we'll finish the hem here. Okay. Yeah, because that's fairly straightforward. Oh my goodness, yeah, my skills, I can already tell you, have improved immensely since I was doing these originally. I'm going to throw the pin back in there actually, because then it's pinned in place. And then I know where to find it on the grime guard. And then this elastic's still good, so we'll just re-elastic it with it and finish it. And then we know that this is too thick, but it is basically done. This is more too thick when you're actually, well, it should be better with the serger. It's too thick when you're doing cake cozies for sure, because that's just excess thread that's wrapped around it, because these have been washed again. That's why they're all wrinkly too. Why? Oh, you have a pin in there because your hem is also not caught. Okay, so let's redo that while we're here. So it's 3:30. So I got about another hour until I need to head out. Pickup time starts at 5. That's the other nice thing, is it's like the preschool. Actually, we're gonna seam rip all of that and then I'll redo that hem. Okay. So let's mark it again with the pin. Anyway, the preschool starts at 7:30 and they also end at 5:30. So like we're not quite as like, I'm gonna be able to leave after 5 instead of having to leave before 5, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's gonna add an extra like half hour to my days. So like I'm gonna add a whole hour onto my days just by switching care, plus the extra day that they're able to go as well. Okay. Strips, strips, and strips. And we're nearly to the bottom of this bin. Yes. We'll have done it. And then if these, like that's a good chunk of that bin right there if I get these finished right away. So that's pretty exciting. There's actually a wristlet in there. Okay, so this is like such a hodgepodge because that wristlet is quite a new product. But there's like really old OG fabric in here. Like what the heck is going on? It must have been mixed in one of my, I'm done. Just get it in somewhere so I don't have to look at it anymore. There's a Christmas bag that we will add a canvas bottom to, since it's just chilling here. There's some OG automobiles and some more strips and some maps and some coffee break and some mint dots and an actual template for putting the snaps onto the needle stashers. That's useful. And strips and elastic and another one that's mostly finished and more strips. And then the rest of this, okay, so what are we going to put back in here for now? Because these just need to be finished. They're not actually like scrap strips. These are all nearly done. So they need to go into their own special chair. Let's put them in the chair. I just realized that fabric is probably muffling you guys. Sorry. So we're going to put all of the grime guards in the chair right there, and that'll be one of the first things we actually work on. And these are all scraps and strips that need to be ironed. All right, so I think this is just, it's gonna go from strips to scraps basically. Which whatever, strips still indicates that's scraps. So stuff like this is gonna go in, and that's gonna be used for like cats. Although strips indicates a different kind of like this. So we need more of a scrap bin. Okay, well, they'll go in the pile for now. That pile. This is not the pile that's beside the like sewing machine. This is the scrap pile. There are two very different beasties. Okay. Because yeah, like that's still useful, but it shouldn't be in with strips. This is a strip, and I could use that for piecing. This is a scrap. This is a strip. Obviously all of these, or a lot of these, need to be ironed. That is a scrap. That's not going to be, that's not wide enough to actually piece. This is in part, but I'll probably use it for the other project. That is large enough. Those, they get to be too small, and then they're no fun to work with. So we're gonna try and keep this scrap busting stuff like fun to work with, because otherwise I just won't do it. Bunnies. Okay, so we need to distribute the actual strips from here that we were talking about. Okay, there's actually more of those down here than I thought there was. Curses. But this also makes this pile actually smaller as well, so I can't be too mad about that, because realistically it's like, how many like little cat ornaments can I actually really make? And then we can do some different stuff with like these larger pieces as well. We're going to count that as a strip. Okay. These are scraps. That's where and like stuff that's like just not fun to work with, like, well, that was intended to be a wristlet, but whatever. We'll open that up. That's a strip. This is a strip. Okay, so that bin was actually fairly cohesive in what was in there. Obviously not perfect, because why would it be? Why does it need to be, I guess, would be the better question. But yeah, like most of these I'll be able to use for strips, for piecing, which is nice. Can't remember if I'm putting those in there or not. And then some of these, like this is just too small to piece. Like once you take in the factor that like it's about 1/4 inch to piece it on both sides, you basically end up with no fabric. So actual scraps, actual scraps. Could be pieced. Scraps. Okay, so there is that pile gone through. So that is that whole bin now, with like strips actually distributed correctly. Will those wrinkle as soon as I throw stuff on top of them? Probably. But for now, we're going to ignore that fact. Those are strips that can go in though too. And then those are strips, and those are strips, and actually most of that pile is strips. There we go. And then whatever we're gonna do with these like sassy cats. Oh, what would be fun with them? Because they need like is just to frame the cat with canvas. And then that would make a really good book sleeve, because like I was mentioning, it's almost perfect size for the manga like trade paperbacks. But if I was to like frame it, you could get with canvas, that would look really good too. All right, so that maybe is probably the solution for that. There's the safety pin that flew out of my hands. By the way, we are 1 subscriber away from 400, which is super exciting because realistically, I have brought this channel back from like graveyard silence. So I'm super proud of the fact that it's like actually gaining followers. Something hit the algorithm right recently. So my iron turned off. Yeah, and so I appreciate everyone who's hung around with me since I was doing podcasts and like through this evolution of like technology, because I don't know if like live streaming didn't really even exist when I was podcasting originally. So we've been at it a while, Martha. Just like even like just thinking about how Instagram has evolved since I like started using it is just kind of amazing and terrifying at the same time. Just like everything is moving so much faster now, including our internet. I think that's definitely like, as more people have been able to access it, obviously it's gotten a lot more, well, it's just gotten a lot easier to access content even. So that is a little bit too small to be fun. Too small to be fun. And actually, we're going to boot the sushi for being too small to be fun, too. Bye, sushi. This looks like it was probably intended to be like a notions pouch or something, but it's going to go into the strip bin. So now I need to figure out if I want to do... okay. Prototype for the book sleeves is going to be in the just straight fabric, because here's the thing is I need to figure out what size we need, and like I could figure that out with pieced work, but it's going to be a lot more work to get to that point first. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it with whole cloth, and then I can patchwork it later, because then basically what I'll do is I'll just make a massive piece of cloth from the patchwork, and then we can do fun things like cutting the actual bag out of it. I just realized that those vinyl pouches that like I'm gonna find pieces to put on the back of them would look good with like a canvas backing and then a patchwork back as well, because realistically then I don't need to find the fabrics that match, although I do know where some of them are, so in the cases where I can find them easily, I'll do that. Alright, this would be a little bit too not fun to work with for patchwork, mostly because the edges are really frayed, so it's going to go into the cats. This is a good strip. Good strip. Okay, that needs to be ironed. That one, I chucked it back because I have to unfold it, whereas these are like similar size, that's why it went back into the pile. I'm not going to be like super picky about these being perfect because they are just getting tossed back into a bin. Again, that is not good storage habit, especially for how long I've left them in there. But since we're on our way to using them soon, I'm not as worried about it. Whatever. At least that's the story I'm telling myself, so shh. That's what the story I'll tell you too. Okay, this one is such a big piece that I think we'll probably end up doing like multiple things with it. So we'll end up with strips for book sleeves, and we'll also end up with making that into some cats too, because it's too good a fabric to not be spread out between as many projects as possible. All right. That's originally from a wristlet, but I no longer make that style because it's like, it's too much work. Bluntly. I do the key fob ones now, which is way more fun, but needs a different distribution of fabric. So, all right, this is a good strip, but it is too small to be fun, so we're just going to put it into cats. We're still going to iron it just so it's a little bit easier to use when I get to that. And because it's going to have to be actually put onto interfacing before we use it for the cats, so we don't want the fabric to be like creased and stuff like that when we go to use it. If you've been watching for a while, you know that we ran into that issue with some of the big bags, and actually the linings for the small box bags was where it was the worst. So strip. That strip bin is filling up fast though. Alright, that actually worked really well to just kind of pop it under like that, so that's what we're going to do for a lot of these. Again, not trying to be super like nitpicky, we're just going to try and get this, because they're scrap projects, there's not much point in putting a lot of effort into it. We'll try and get it so that it's usable again, basically, is what we're doing. Especially because I am a one-woman show. If I had other people working for me, we'd probably be a little bit pickier. But you know what? It's going to get ironed multiple times after this, so I'm not too worried about a little bit of crinkling left. Alright, yeah, that one's definitely into the scrap pile. This one's too small to be fun, so we're going to do scraps from it too. Like if I don't use the scraps. Sorry, I know you were calling me out on the like whip piles. So does this still count as well? Since I have plans for them? I hope so, because I do need something new to stimulate me for a little bit. Especially when I'm working on taxes. Once we're done taxes, it'll be a little bit easier to like actually buckle down on some of the other stuff. The other good thing is it's like with Ancient Arts, I know the Kato are very popular, so we'll definitely work on those whips once I get them sorted out from the bins. Which is why we'll still go out and, oh my goodness. I know I just did that intentionally, but like every time I've caught that, it has torn a little bit more today. So we're going to need to bring the ironing board, like the quilt board cover in to do this later on. Oh my goodness. This is actually, this ironing board cover is doing really well. This is only the second ironing board cover I've had since starting the business. So I'm pretty pleased with that. But obviously it is definitely time to move it out. Oh, yeah, that'll be better for cats. If they sit too long, yes. Yeah, I know. Shh. I'm not going to make any lofty goals of like I'll have all of my scraps used up by the end of summer, but let's say that we are going to make a concerted effort to have a vast reduction in scraps by the end of the summer, whether that's destashing or using or whatever the process ends up being. The pink will be fun, the green not so much. Plunk. So, I know that actually doing the bookmarks last December really cut down on the number of scraps that I ended up having, which is why I'm excited to do a bunch more. That's why we have like the separate pile for the bookmark cuts and stuff like that. And realistically, also like the needle stashes, there's a lot of duplicates in the needle stashers. And those cuts, like if I were to sew them together for stuff like stripped book covers, that would work well too. So we might go through and re-pilfer the needle stasher stuff later, once we've established what like the sizing needs to be for everything. You weren't on last night, but I did get myself a new quilt ruler, and sorry, that sounded really accusatory on my end. That was not the intention. I just have exciting news in that I got a new quilt ruler that means that basically I can just like square everything up to the quilt ruler and use it to measure instead of having like paper templates that eventually get whittled down because they get caught in the quilt ruler. So it's really exciting, and it will actually work very well for squaring up book sleeves. It's why I just got suddenly very excited about it, because I remembered that is actually what it's designed for, is like squaring up quilted items. So squaring up a quilted or a pieced book sleeve is going to be really good with it. There we go. Come on, black cats. All right, where are we at for time now? Oh, okay, sweet. Still have like an hour. I think I said that like 20 minutes ago, but whatever. I'll take it. Should I be going upstairs to cook dinner? Probably. But we'll do that when the kiddos get back. I'll make sure I take snacks today. I was going to make cauliflower soup, but I just realized that's a really bad idea. So I think we'll do fish and chips instead, just because I can do that in the air fryer and it'll be way faster. And then I can make cauliflower soup tomorrow when we have more time. And they're not standing around crying because they're ravenous after school. There's always that like period when they come home of just like intense. There is a term for it now, and I can't remember what it is anymore. But just like that intense emotional release after getting home. Because it's just like too much in some ways. What is it like? Anyway. I love the fact that we are trustworthy enough for them to do that. But it also makes it really difficult to cook dinner. So. Yes, seriously. So the nice thing about it is it's like it'll basically do all of my rectangular templates that like I have normally anyway, because most of the stuff I cut. Okay, that is a big bag. We're going to throw that under the table, and that is something we will deal with later when we're dealing with all the stuff under the table already. Anyway, but it's like all the rectangular cuts and everything like that I can just do from this template, which is super exciting. Too small to be fun. But that's also why we're ironing everything, is because it's like now it needs to be fairly flat to go under this ruler to get anything accurate, because then I can square it up to like a straighter edge on the fabric, and that'll help make it accurate. Okay, these are all too small to be fun, so we'll put them into the scrap pile. Hey, we can make some like Halloween cats from the Halloween fabrics. That'll be fun. Is it like a catception to make cats out of cat fabrics? I've actually never seen that movie, so I don't know if that is true or not, to be honest. Strips. Almost threw that in scraps, and it's too big for that. Put it in strips. Unicorns. So now the question is how do I pair up these scraps or strips to piece them? I'm thinking most of what I'll do, just to make it easy, is I'm just going to go kind of by color, I guess. So like blues with blues, and like maybe dark blues with like dark blues, and then like pinks with pinks and stuff. Or do I just crazy quilt it kind of, and which would be just like reach into the bin and grab a strip and put it together. Actually, I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to do any kind of like real piecing for those. So that's what we'll go with. That. will work. It's like right on the edge of like yay and nay. Oh yeah. Okay, so the plan for tonight is I will be back on once the kiddos are in bed. They've been at school all day, so they should be in bed pretty early. We're gonna make dinner when we get home. And then I gotta go do my weights and my run so they can watch their shows while I do that. That'll make them pretty happy. That's what we're gonna do anyway, so I might as well go do my weights and run. And then once they're in bed, it'll be yoga. And if you're looking for a good, like, approachable yoga plan or challenge, Yoga with Adrian does challenge every January. And I've been doing those challenges, well, on and off since 2018. So this is the first year where I've attempted to actually finish a challenge in the past few years. I tried last year, but just it wasn't the time yet. Now we're in a phase where it's like, okay, I can actually like dedicate the time to this. Anyway, so it'll be dinner, exercise, since I copped out and didn't do it earlier like I told myself I would. And then bedtime snack, and then I'll be downstairs. And we will work on Well, we'll work on anything that's kind of left over from this afternoon. Mostly so I don't have to move stuff around for like setup. And then we'll work on I think this is actually a big bag. So we're going to set this, yeah, let's work on getting the underneath cleaned up. Yeah, no. Underneath or whips. I don't know. We'll see what catches my fancy. Because here's the thing, is dealing with whips is going to take different mental energy than like just, these are going to get ironed. And I really do want to play around with those scraps. So maybe we'll go out and we'll work on whips for like an hour or something. Yeah, especially because I do need to get ready for... Yes, okay, never mind. I do need to do that because I'm like, wait, I got to get ready for Caroline's pop-up. So that's what we'll do, is we'll go out and work on whips. So I know what I should be sewing next week. Because basically what will happen is I'll try to get most of my receipts plunked in over the next couple days with kids underfoot. And then finish up on Monday when I actually have the mental space for it. Like I can devote my mental space to it. And then we can just sew, hopefully. And actually, I don't think we're going to have a lot more of this to process after right now. I just realized that that bag, this one, should also go underneath because it's going to become a big bag. It just needs to have its seams ripped. But if I work on the works in progress out there, and then we can work on the works in progress in here tomorrow. I.e. all the exteriors that have been previously cut and put under the table. So. I had actually forgotten about this fabric. So it's sushi, or it's cats with sumo wrestlers. Love it. Apparently all I'm showing you is sumo wrestlers, but there are cats here too. Very Japanese print. Alright, this one just needs to be ironed, and then we will cut that casing off later. Whew. It is. Like I said, these will need a good ironing, probably with the tailoring ham, just because they got ravaged in the wash. Yeah, that's the word. Ravished. That's not the word. Well, I guess they're very disheveled. And yeah, cutting the casing off before I did this would have probably been a good idea, because it's where it's been gathered. Oops. Yeah, well, whatever. They can always get ironed again later. Also sounds like I might need to put some more water in the iron. Just about there. Go. We're going to throw that in the strips because that'll be a good strip to use. This is large enough for like something else, not this. So it goes back there. All right, we need some more water in the iron. Oh, okay. I might actually need to go fill the bottles again because we're getting to the end of this one. It is also snack time. So I'm going to mute the mic and eat my snack. Actually, I'm going to mute the mic and go fill up the water bottles and eat my snack while I'm filling up the water bottles. There we go. I'll be right back. All right. Back to the ironing. Oh dear. At least with the kata that are currently like ready to go, I'm pretty sure like we are at least a third of the way through making the stuff. So it's like, oh, by the way, with these ones that are weird, if they're going into the strip spins, what I'll do is when I go to use the strip, I'll cut it down here, and then this will become a bookmark because this is like, you can't see it because of the iron. So this is bookmark material or like some sort of like applique material. This is the strip that'll actually get used in piecing, and then like whatever else I can use, and then the other pieces will get used up for other things. And I just lost the other train of thought completely. Distracted myself. All right. I do not know what that was a cut for, but that is a weird shape for me. Here's the thing. I mostly do work in like straight edges. There's less fabric waste if you don't have it like curved. Makes sense. Knot bags kind of being the exception to that. So I don't know what that was. Maybe that was like an old knot bag cut. That was a piece of calcium from the iron. Gross. Have a special place, so they're going to go up there. This is very similar to the horses, but that's That's a good strip to use. It also takes the ironing way nicer. Holy. Considering that I might actually rip that seam out just because that fabric is one of my old favorites. Dogs. Cats. Too small for anything much. Other cats. Pretty sure this is from the Etsy seller when I was still importing through the Etsy sellers. I've been actually doing this so long I went to look at my old Etsy sellers and they no longer exist, which is insane to realize, to be honest. Some of them do, most of them do not. I don't know why I put that down there. I'm not going to use it. That needs to go to my friend. I tear it from here. There we go. Okay. Friend pile, my pile. By the way, that bag right here behind, that's like kitty corner from the laptop, is actually meant to go to my friend. So that was a good amount of scraps out as well, which is nice. Too small to be fun. Because that's the thing is, it's like, yes, a lot of this is usable, but there were a lot of scraps that kind of just like snuck in, or I went, nah, we're like, whatever, just move it on sort of thing, because we're not going to use it. Or I'm not going to use it. She can. Alright, so this is a needle stasher that is like finished, but it's pretty skinny. It's way too skinny for the new plastic snaps. No, it's not. We'll just set the snaps in it. Could use a little bit of press. Alright, we're getting into some of the super wrinkly stuff. So the last thing really to iron here, well, there's this pile here, and then there's the pile of stuff that's going to become Notions pouches, actually. So I guess we're just going to be working on ironing everything today, because iron's already warmed up. I'm here. I've got the ironing board set up, and we may as well. May as well. Not what I wanted to do, but what needs to be done. All right. That looks... I just realized I have a freaking ruler right here I could be using, rather than guessing if something is like too big or too small. Oh, come on. Okay, apparently you need to go on the other one. That's not quite large enough for a pencil pouch. It is long enough, but like, so actually what happens if you scooted up the extra a little bit here. Da da da. Dun dun dun. We'll make it work. It's big enough. Okay. So that'll be a planner pencil pouch. And this looks like it's probably too small. It is not. It is actually a better cut. Okay, sweet. So those can both be planner pouches. As long as it's long enough, I'll just double check that it is. Okay, it's got the same problem as the other one, so these will be just slightly modified, and that's fine. There we go. Pigs, 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 pig strip, pig strip. Alright, this is also a very random cut here too. I don't know what happened here, but choices were obviously made. Maybe not the best choices, but they were made. Out of here. Those are going to be too small to be fun. I don't know why I ironed them to just throw them in the scrap pile for my friend. But you know, whatever. They'll be nice for her to cut now. Okay, that looks like bookmark material. Yeah, we're good. That'll be a good bookmark. Where did I put the bookmarks earlier? Okay, I'm gonna chuck them on the other bookmarks that those are gonna become. Badgers. These have such thick seams. Oh my goodness. Okay, so like in this case, seam ripping it will be better to do before I actually, at least releasing the the hem on the one end will make these actually ironable. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's ironable or not. We'll find out here in a second. Pull the ones that aren't finished at all. Okay, good. Most of them are not. Perfect. That one is. This one is not. This one is. This one is. This one is. That one is not. That one's not finished. That one is. And then these are normal scraps. More normal scraps. This one. Actually, that is. Gonna need some TLC afterwards, but whatever. We'll. There we go. Go. Good. Yeah, this whole like scrap distribution is well overdue. And thinking about it, I think what I will do is I am going to do a like dark tone strips, and I will do a light tone strips. Because it's like, yeah, no, just crazy quilted. I don't know what I'm talking about. Crazy quilted, and or else you're not gonna do it. Okay, that strip doesn't need to be ironed. That one doesn't either. Strawberries could use an iron. Done. That is too small for anything. Palms. Owls. This one feels like it deserves to be more than just strips for the book covers, at least for now. It will make its way into the book covers, but you know. This is definitely like a notions pouch or something along those lines. Okay, let's see if I can do these without like getting completely enraged. Okay, when they're not hemmed, that actually makes it easier. So let's do this. And then this. Because then what I can do is I can flip it. So the reason why that I stopped actually making the grime guards before I got the serger is because to make the really long, like, or really big grime guards, I would need to piece or cut the fabric along the selvage of a piece of fabric. And so then I wasn't able to cut my project bags out of it correctly. So that's part of why they kind of went by the wayside for quite a few years. Now in this case, this one is probably in good enough shape that we could actually go in and serge it and still make a grime guard from it. So we might do that. Yeah, and that is exactly what we're going to do. So that's going to be a grime guard again. Or still, or whatever, wherever you want to qualify it. These ones that are already hemmed, I'm not going to continue with grime guard simply because the technique has changed so much. Though I guess at this point they're hemmed, so as long as the hem is good, why not? Yeah, never mind. So a lot of these that are like halfway between, that aren't too heavy, so like that black cat one that I was like, nope, this is strips, is like too heavy of a fabric to be really very nice for a grime guard. This is pretty light fabric, although the hem on it is gross, so we are going to just make this into strips as well. Yeah, actually sorting whips will probably be better because it's like, I was just like, this is taking more mental energy than I had anticipated. Whereas whips, it's like very obvious sometimes about where it's at in the process. And kind of we can focus a little bit better in on what will sell at Caroline's. Like I said, Kato, we did a really good job of restocking on the small bags and the big bags. So I'm not worried about them. At least for this one. And then, yeah, we'll do the Kato, and then maybe some large box bags, actually. That's probably what we should do next. Which is good, because I've already got a lot of stuff for those cut out in here. So that's where the exterior, the, like, tidying up under the desk will happen, is then I can just pull the bags out of the box, and I can just be like, okay, we're working on large box bags today, and move on from there. By the way, I do really like how those bags turned out with the fusible interfacing, but it does look like I need to actually reduce the width of the handle because they were jumping off of the rack so much at Airdrie. It wasn't even funny, and it wouldn't like, it would start a cascade effect, so one would fall off and then like 6 others would fall off. So I'm debating, should I like continue to do the fabric, or should I switch to like a webbing? Actually might work better. So I haven't decided yet, but the webbing would hang on the waterfall hooks. Way nicer. I feel like that is a pull to put to my Instagram audience, as well as the YouTube audience as well. All right, we are about, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes from wrapping up. I might actually wrap up at 4:30 or once these are ironed, simply so I have a little bit of like transition time before the kids come home. If I did that, then I could actually make the fish before I leave, and then I could make the fries. Actually, do you know what? We're going to finish this right now. I'm going to go make dinner, and then dinner is ready when we get home. There's less of a breakdown for everyone involved. And since the next pile isn't started yet, that was actually a fairly natural stopping place. That's going to scraps. Do you know what? I think both of these are gonna, all of this is gonna go to scraps. Mostly because it just isn't, like, it's just did not survive. So this is what happens when you dry your fabrics. Please do not. Please air dry your fabrics if you've bought a bag from me. may be like, why, Katie, why didn't you treat it as you want us to treat it? And that's because I was lazy. And I didn't quite think that this would have this amount of effect. Okay. One last one to iron. Yes, I do still have this pile to iron here. That's like kitty corner to the cat. But I feel like this is a more natural stopping place for now. At least, like I said, that's what I'm going to say. And then I'm going to go make dinner, which is a better reason to be heading out early. Anyway, but I will be back on tonight. I don't know what time. The best way to find out when I will be on is actually through my Instagram. Today is January 26th, Friday. But yeah, I'll be back on tonight to do whip sorting to figure out what we're going to be finishing for Caroline. And then tomorrow I'll be on after the kiddos are in bed, and we'll be doing book sleeves and that embroidery pouch tomorrow night for sure. Because I did say I was going to work on the embroidery pouch today, but this made more sense because I have to clear out my my cutting table basically. All right, these fish are almost done. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I will be bringing in the quilt board for my next round of ironing because apparently this cover is destroyed. And yeah, I'll see you all in a few hours. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.